Years ago, way back, before iPads and iPhones, we didn't have, back then if you got a phone call, you had to go to a landline. We carried a thing called a calendar in a big old leather binder. I had a big old leather binder. Man, thing, it gave me hernia every time I picked that thing up. And Steve Covey was first starting his time management courses, and I had the privilege of our whole staff when he did this, and that's when he was doing it himself before he got so big. I think he's passed away now, but he had a big conference in Atlanta, and our whole staff went. And I sat there, and I never forget, he was teaching, and some of you may have heard this, but because he used to use this all the time, but he brought out a big jar, and he put these rocks in it. And he said, "Is the jar full?" Well, all of us said, "Yeah." I mean, he had all these big rocks in it. Then he pulled out a little jar of gravel, and he poured the gravel in, filled in those spaces. He says, is the jar full now? Well, we still thought, well, yeah. Then he brought out a jar of sand and poured the sand in. Then he asked us, is the jar full? Well, by then, none of us said anything. I mean, you don't want to be embarrassed, but once or twice. You know what I'm saying? Then he brought out the water and poured the water in. And he says, what's the principle I'm trying to teach you? And we had some guy, who's always loud, and, he said that no matter how busy you are, you always add other stuff to your calendar. I wish I hadn't said that day. And he said, no, that's not true. The truth is, if you don't put the big rocks in first, you'll never get them in.
In other words, if there's one thing, just like the prayer request, if there was one thing in your life that you want more than any other thing, you look into the mirror and that's what your desire is. That's what your supreme value is.